Greetings, and welcome to this episode in the series of videos on working with remote sensing with ArcGIS Pro. This series is brought to you by AmericaView in partnership with Virginia Tech, the Virginia Cooperative Extension, and Virginia View. I'm Cherie Aukland, and I'll be your guide. This video tutorial series builds on ongoing and previous collaborations and contributions provided by the USDA NIFA through the ADVANCE project, the National Science Foundation, through the GeoTED UAS project, the Ohio State University, and the Virginia Space Grant Consortium. This video series is associated with the Remote Sensing with ArcGIS Pro 2nd edition book. We will use Landsat 9 imagery in this series, and we'll also begin with Chapter 10. Links to resources for this video series, including free access to the textbook and to the videos for Chapters 1 through 9, are available in the video description below. In this chapter, we'll use the USGS's EarthExplorer website to search for Landsat 9 imagery, discuss options for narrowing the search to just what we want, and we'll download and extract that imagery to our local computer. As we talked about in the last chapter, EarthExplorer is a repository of many imagery products available for download. To access EarthExplorer, go to earthexplorer.usgs.gov in your favorite browser. Here, I'm using Edge. If you have an account, go ahead and log in. If you don't, pause this video and follow the directions in Create New Account, then head back here, log in, and we'll begin. We're going to be searching for a specific Landsat 9 scene from Roanoke, Virginia. Make sure you have the Search Criteria tab active, and notice there are several search methods available to you. There's Geocoder, and you can limit it to US features or world features, or we can upload a KML or shapefile. We'll use the geocoder. There are three options for selecting a geocoding method: feature, address place, or by path row. By the way, if you don't see address place in this dropdown, you're not logged in. Let's use the address place and enter Roanoke, Virginia. And let's show Roanoke, Virginia. And in order to see it on the map, I'm going to click this location. Now we could go to the Datasets tab and identify the image datasets, but doing that would result in thousands of datasets. So let's start by limiting our search to the criteria we're interested in. We're going to do a land analysis. So we want an image with actively growing vegetation during the day and with little cloud cover. Let's begin with the date range. Since we're looking for a Landsat 9 image, and Landsat 9 was launched in June of 2021, we'll begin our search in July of 2021. You can either type the date here or you can use the date picker and choose July 2021. And I'm just going to pick July 1st. And then let's extend it through August of 2024. I'm just going to choose August of 2024, and maybe I'll choose the 1st. We want months during the actively growing season, so let's drop down search months and limit our search to May through September. So I'm going to uncheck all, and I'm going to scroll down: May, June, July, August, and September. And I'm going to click away to make that go away. Now let's address cloud cover. Obviously, choosing an image with limited to no cloud cover is extremely important for a terrestrial analysis. The search criteria should be limited to scenes with less than 10% cloud cover. So we'll adjust the cloud cover range slider to 0 at the low end and grab this and drag it down to 10%. Now we're ready to select our dataset. So let's go to the Datasets tab. These are folders for each collection of data. We'll only discuss Landsat here. Let's expand the Landsat category. Scrolling down a little bit to show all the category. All the different Landsat satellites imagery collections are available under this option, each with different levels of processing. For these tutorials, we're using Landsat Collection 2, Level 1, so I'm going to go ahead and expand that. And now you can see 4 different collections in here. So there's Landsat 8 and 9. That's the one that we want. But there's also Landsat 7, Landsat 4, 5, and Landsats 1 through 5 in the other collections below it. And let's select Landsat 8.9. Now let's filter the collection a bit more using the Additional Criteria tab, which provides more options for filtering the results of the image data archive that's returned to us. So these choices will help narrow the number of images that are returned to just the ones that meet our criteria. Up at the top, the Landsat product identifier is a unique number assigned to each image. We cover LPIs in detail in Chapter 12. The collection we chose does contain both Landsat 8 and Landsat 9 images though, so here is where you could limit the results returned to Landsat 9 by entering LC09 in the LPI box. LC09 is the first part of the Landsat product identifier for Landsat 9. Similarly, LC08 indicates Landsat 8. We'll leave it for now for the sake of discussion in just a minute. WRS path and WRS row are unique for each location covered by a Landsat scene. We don't know this information offhand. It's part of the LPI also covered in Chapter 12. We're only interested in images captured during the day, so we will choose day from the day-night indicator dropdown. Now let's see what our results are. Okay, you can see we have 22 images returned, and these are displayed 10 at a time in this window over here. And basically we have 3 pages to look through. It's a lot of images to look at. All right, so let's look at one of the results to understand what we have at hand. Each of the images has specific information related to that image. Let's look at the second image. This image was acquired on July 15th of 2024. You have a thumbnail snapshot of the image, and it appears to only have a few clouds in this tiny little thumbnail that you see here. If we compare it to the third image down here for July 14th of 2024, this shows a lot of cloud cover in the western half of the image. But those thumbnails are pretty tiny. We're going to need to look a little closer. Remember path and row? Images over this region are path 16, row 34 for the July 15th image, and path 17, row 34 for the July 14th image. Roanoke is in these images, although only fully in one of the two. So, how do we know this? Toggling the footprint icon shows the region covered by the scene in the map window. Toggling it for both images shows how they overlap and the location of Roanoke. You can see that there is more of Roanoke in the July 14th image than there is in the July 15th. And how do we know the difference? This footprint has a yellow cast that corresponds to the yellow over here. This footprint has a blue cast that corresponds to this blue. But if we want to look more closely at the scene, for cloud cover for example, we can check out the image as a JPEG natural color scene using the Show Browse Overlay icon, which is this one. I'm going to turn off the footprints and turn on the JPEGs. Notice that these scenes have lots of clouds, so we're going to need to keep looking at more of these 22 images. But we have 2 things to consider. One, we only want to view images from path 17, row 34, and they have to be Landsat 9 images. So how do we know which images are the Landsat 9 images? By the ID, which is the LPI for the image. LC09, as you see here, and LC08, as you see here, that we just talked about, indicate Landsat 9 and Landsat 8 images respectively. Now we actually have the information we need to narrow down our search criteria a bit more, so we don't have to look at all 22 of these images for appropriateness for our needs. All right, to recap, we are searching for Landsat 9 images between July 2021 and August 2024, less than 10% cloud cover, path 17, row 34. So let's return to additional criteria and add those criteria. I'm going to go up here. And just as an aside, if you want to see what your search criteria is, you can show it here. So Landsat 8.9 is the collection we're searching. These are the coordinates that we're interested in. This is the start and the end date, and only in these months. If there's something you don't like here and you need to start over, you can click Clear Search Criteria, which will start you over. We're not going to do that because we want to keep all this, but we're going to add to it. So let's go over to additional criteria. Okay, now we have our additional information. We can add in our Landsat product identifier. You don't have to have the whole name. I just want LC09. We can add our path. So our path is 017 and 2017. And our row is 034, 2034. Okay, let's check out our results. Wow, that did a good job. It gave us 4 results now. There's only 4 images that we have to choose from. So we've got one from July 14th of 2024. We know it's a Landsat 9. It's in the correct path and row, just scanning through to make sure we have the correct path and row and the correct acquisitions and the correct Landsat number. Okay, so let's look at each of these 4 images. All right, I'm going to toggle just the JPEG because really the last thing I need to do now is figure out which one has the least cloud cover. Okay, boy, that one has a lot of cloud cover. So I'm probably not going to choose that one. Let's go to the next one. That one has a lot of cloud cover too in different areas. Yep, doesn't look like we're having a whole lot of luck. That one still has a lot of cloud cover. And it needs to be said that Landsat 8 also flies these same areas. So it's possible that if you can't find what you need in Landsat 9, you might have to back up a mission and go to Landsat 8. Let's check out this last one. Okay, that one looks pretty good. There are a few clouds here and there, but I think this one's doable. So I think this is the one that we're going to keep. Just to check out a little bit more information about this image, we can show the metadata for this image. And if you remember, we did this last chapter. And this allows us to see the image itself, and if we scroll down, the metadata available to us. We'll talk about this in a whole lot of detail in another chapter. Okay, now that we have everything we need, we're ready to download our image. We'll use the Download Options button to download our image directly. If that button is disabled, the scene is unavailable for direct download. You can order the image using the Add to Bulk Download icon right here. And notice then my item basket now has 1 item in it. And when I'm finished, so for example, if I needed multiple images, I can load them all to the item basket and then follow the directions there to bulk download all of the scenes that I've chosen later. But because we have access to direct download, let's go ahead and click the download options. And let's look at the product options. So what you see here is the bundle of the product, and each of these are things that you can download individually. And I'm going to look at the product options. And again, these are all individual bands that you could download individually if you're interested. But we want the whole thing. So we're going to download the product directly. I'm going to click on this. And it's going to ask me to save it. Depending on your browser, it may go directly to your downloads folder, so you might have to go find it later. But I'm going to choose Save As and put it in my ArcGIS Pro projects data folder. Notice the name of the file that's coming down. So it's the Landsat product identifier, and it's a tar file. That is I'm going to click Save so we can start the download. That is a compressed file. And you can see it might take a minute to finish the download. That took a few minutes to download that file. I can go ahead and close this window. And I'm going to go ahead and close this because we don't need it anymore. But let's go to the downloads folder, or actually to the folder where I downloaded my file. Okay, so you can see here's the file that we downloaded in my data folder. But you can see also that it's a compressed file. You can't use the data that's inside it until you decompress this file. To decompress it, you can either use a utility like 7-zip, or if you're using Windows, you can just right-click it and choose Extract All. And I'm going to click Extract. Notice that now I have a folder that doesn't have a zipper next to the folder that does have a zipper. And so this folder without a zipper are the extracted files, and it's now just a file folder. So I'm going to open this up and see what's in here. And let me view this as details. It might be a little easier to look at. Okay. So this is what you should have once you've extracted your files. If you see these, success! You've downloaded the Landsat 9 scene from June 10th of 2023 from Roanoke, Virginia, and we are ready to proceed to the next chapter. In the next chapter, information about the downloaded Landsat 9 image, we'll discuss these downloaded files in a bunch more detail. And in subsequent chapters, we'll cover basic image processing capabilities such as band combinations, spatial, spectral, and radiometric enhancement, and image classifications specific to the Landsat 9 image we downloaded in this chapter. We'll also introduce techniques to analyze this imagery and extract information that supports research.